I was about to upload this video, and I said everything I needed to say, but I wanted to add one more fact. So I'm going to put it here, and then you can watch the rest of the video if you care. This video is really not for you. It's for my people who follow me. In order to get somebody away from you, just like at a job or, you know, wherever somebody's harassing you, people who harass you on the job know that you have to have evidence for them to get in trouble or for them to get fired. This is a way to get somebody away from you. You have to get somebody away from you from torturing you in order for you to move on with your life. If I could just guess, she probably didn't have evidence on him this whole time that she could use against him, because she probably wasn't documenting anything. Because when you love these niggas, and this is why I say men don't know true love, because if they did, they would. You probably don't know true love, because you wouldn't question what someone does when they're in love. Because this is why there's a saying love is blind. You have hope that somebody's going to act right. And when you have a narcissistic personality, you're always on the edge of your seat, because they're never going to let you get comfortable with any behavior that they exude. They're going to switch it up. They're going to be nice today. They're going to be mean, whatever. So yeah, I think it's safe to say that she probably didn't have evidence. But as the relationship went on, she probably said, you know, I have to start documenting these things or whatever. And she probably has evidence now. I don't know if there's evidence out there. I'm sure people scoured the internet for Diddy's evidence and nobody found it either, right? But if there is evidence, that's probably why. Like, she didn't have it until now, until she woke up and said, I have to get evidence because otherwise I'm not going to get help. Or if there's no evidence, she probably needed to do the TPO with no evidence to separate herself from harassment. Because if she got a restraining order, then she needed one. I was in a domestic violence situation, and I actually lived in a domestic violence shelter, and I had a temporary, I had a TPO. I didn't have a TPO. They asked me, did I want a TPO? I said no, because I was mentally wanting to protect him, even though he was being abusive to me. Excuse me. I had to go through therapy, and I had to take classes, and even in the initial how do you say, like, to get into the program, they told me that abuse is abuse. Whether somebody's hitting you or not, if somebody's harassing you and chasing you around the house and stealing your children and taking them places and you don't know where they're supposed to, when somebody's doing all of that shit, it's abuse. But because we live in a fucked up ass world, just like in the workplace, you can have narcissists who are supervisors abusing you, but because they've never had anything written in an email or nobody ever heard it themselves, you're just going to keep being harassed until you prove it. This is a way for him to be able to get away from her so she can do what she needs to do. Because we don't know if he's been harassing her. Actually, we can almost guess that he has, because we see as mothers the behavior that he's exuding online with taking the child places, when she's saying, I don't want my child there. Every woman who has had a child with one of these narcissistic bastards knows what this is and knows what this feels like. They will just torment you with the children. One way, especially in the black community, and there was even a big conversation about that, is I don't want nobody doing my child's hair. Y'all sat there, women like you, sat there in a comment section saying, oh, I don't get it. Like, you're being petty because you're young and you're so free and you're so, you know, I don't care if anybody does my child's hair. I'm not saying that you have to be okay with that or you don't have to be, but that is an emotional, it evokes emotion. And we live in a world where we're so used to dismissing emotion and dismissing disrespect for evidence. We're so quick to disrespect when somebody's torturing us because it's not proven. This is what, even on a grander scale, and this is the last thing I'm going to say before I let the rest of the video play, but even in the black community, and I actually had a conversation about this last night, but you're not allowed to speak from experience. Yes, I understand that it's anecdotal when you do that, but when you have hundreds and thousands of anecdotal experiences that match each other, then it's valid. When women since the beginning of the time been trying to talk about the dynamic between the black man and the black woman in the black community, we've been drowned out with, let's talk about facts. Let's talk about facts. Facts are facts, right? Facts are very useful. Sometimes something is not a fact until it's proven. This temporary restraining order is a way for her to prove his behavior, or maybe she's just now wanting to fight back, because we know that in domestic violence relationships we don't want to fight initially because we love them. We're confused. And if you dare say, well, if she loves him, maybe they'll get back to you, get off my fucking page. I think I said everything I need to say, but you understand, in order to get anything done, you have to have proof, right? For people like you, people who will gaslight you out of your lived experience, for people like you, because the only way you could be getting tortured is if you have a bruise on your arm. Somebody can't be stealing your children and doing whatever the fuck they want to do and telling you to go fuck off. My baby daddy used to tell me almost every day towards the end of our relationship that he would kill me and nobody would find my body. And he would say it with a smile on his face. I don't think we're going to get evidence of that if that was occurring in the house with her. I'm not saying that it is, but I'm using a whole bunch of anecdotal evidence from women across the world and who are brave enough to share their experiences. And I connect those things that I see and I go, oh, that's what that looks like. That's what that looks like. And when I see somebody like Haley or Halle Bailey, I don't really know how to say her name, and she's online doing certain things, even when you see her smiling, trying to save face after he does something crazy, we know what that is too. You wouldn't know what that is because you haven't been through nothing apparently, or you're just under demonic possession where the first thing you do is try to defend a nigga before a woman. I don't know. I said it later in the video and you're going to see. I don't have a dog in this fight. You do though, because you're scouring the internet. So I wanted to take my time and respond to this because it's not even for the person who wrote this comment. It's for people who follow this page, right? Because I use everything for content to explain things, right? So I know that it's triggering to you, and I don't know why. But I know that it's triggering to women like you and to men when women are advocating for each other, because there is no concern for women. The fact that you've been scouring the internet for evidence against Haley when you don't know either of them. The fact that you assume that the woman is lying and we don't know these people is telling. And I think you already commented the fact that I'm assuming that whatever. I don't give a fuck what you think I'm assuming. I'm not assuming anything. I'm using my pattern recognition. This is the same rhetoric that was said for P. Diddy as well. And I'm using P. Diddy because he's recent and he's a big case. But this is the same rhetoric that was used for Bill Cosby. This is the same rhetoric that was used for Chris Brown. This is the same rhetoric that's used for all of them who beat women. Jonathan Majors. All of you women keep coming out and doing this. Have you ever asked yourself why? That is what you need to ask yourself. You need to ask yourself why, deep down in your body, when you hear a story about domestic violence, that you hop up and you scour the internet to prove that the woman is lying. You see, what I'm doing is I am believing when somebody says I'm hurt. So imagine like somebody running down the street saying, oh my God, somebody just beat me up in the woods, right? Even if they don't have blood on them or anything, do you think I'm going to go, I don't see any evidence of doing it. I don't see anything, so... Or do you think I'm going to put them in my car and then we're going to figure this out? Maybe I won't even be the one to figure it out. And that's another point. We are bystanders. The police department and the people who are going to investigate this case are going to figure it out. I'm not scouring shit for shit. I'm speaking on the immediate response. I'm giving you an immediate response to somebody saying, this man has been abusing me. And we also know that they have been going back and forth online. And if anybody has ever been in an abusive relationship, this one, want to keep bringing it up. If you've ever actually been in an abusive relationship, these men will torment you without leaving physical evidence. Maybe psychological. Psychologically, you're fucked, and nobody can see that. They will torture you. Like, for instance, when we saw he was taking her baby and putting the baby online. And it's both of their babies. But we know, and if you don't have kids, you don't understand the nuances like this. But our kids are like, it's not a petty thing. If you have a child and you say, I don't want, like for instance, when I had my first babies, I didn't want my daughter to eat anything besides my breast milk. And then when she was on after she got breast milk, I put her on the formula because I was getting tired of breastfeeding. And then I'm very literal, I told you, with my autism. So when they told me at the doctor she should be eating these foods, I wanted her to eat these foods and then graduate to other foods. Do you know my baby daddy's mother would watch my child? I didn't need her to watch her. She was always, I need the child. I need her. For some reason, I don't know. Even at 2 weeks old, this woman convinced this man to take the baby out the bed. There's no video evidence of that either. They used each other to abuse me. And that's a whole nother topic. Narcissistic mothers abusing, you know what I'm saying, the women that their sons have children with. I would say daughter-in-laws, but usually them niggas don't marry those women because of pattern recognition. This is what I'm talking to you about. You keep talking about evidence, and I'm talking about waking up and opening your eyes and seeing shit. But anyway, yeah, they both abused me. He used her to abuse me. She used him to abuse me. Physically? No. Psychologically? Yes. Fucking up my life? Yes. Tormenting me? Yes. One time she took my child away and shaved his head fucking bald, thinking it was going to bother me. Not knowing that her son, they were so busy trying to tag team and fucking doing things that would upset me. Not just upset me out of ego. If you have a child and you say, oh, I want to do this with them on their first birthday, you have that right, and somebody keeps taking your rights away from you, that is abuse. That is torment. Somebody telling you, I'm taking the children, they leave and they don't answer the phone for hours is torment. These are ways that he could have been tormenting her. Like I said, we saw that he keeps taking the baby here and there, and they're celebrities. So she has to smile. She has to, what I'm seeing and what I'm talking about, and what my pattern recognition picks up, this is all part of it. So you can keep scouring. Scour away. You probably won't find anything. Number one, because they're celebrities. Did you scour before P. Diddy got found of all these charges? The evidence was very hard to find because he was paying people off and doing all that stuff. And then we saw the video. He lied. And you probably was there like, these bitches ain't shit. These bitches. Because you one of those. Which is sad as fuck. And then we see him kick her in the hallway. What did you say then? This is why you should not jump in conversations and start talking about scouring shit. You need to go home and scour something at the house. Scour what you got going on. Why you think this way. Take my baby out the bed at 2 weeks old while I'm breastfeeding and coming from a C-section to put my baby on a bus. and drive on a bus with a 2-week-old baby who hasn't been vaccinated, all this other stuff, right? But that's besides the point. Started feeding my daughter K-Row syrup. Putting K-Row syrup in her milk. It's something that they grew up doing. I don't know what the fuck that even means. Why do the baby need K-Row syrup in a bottle? Stressed me out to no end. Did I ever get video evidence of that? Was that abuse? Yes. Was he torturing me? That's just one thing. I can give you an example that's closer to him bringing the baby on the internet when she's saying, no, I don't want that. Pushing her boundaries, which is abuse. I know y'all don't know this. You probably just let niggas do anything to you. And if you do know this, and you're still commenting, like I told you before, shame on you. He used to pack my children up at the front door and put them in their car seats and say, I'm going. I go wherever I want to with my children. And here's the thing. That would be fine if he wasn't doing it out of spite. There's no evidence for a nigga who has spite in his heart, you understand, towards you. He would not answer the phone when I called when he had my children. And I'm not even a person who harasses anybody who calls all the time. I would go hours before I called him to give him space and then say, so how are they doing? He would delete my phone calls. He even sent my kids back in, it wasn't an Uber, because it wasn't no Uber back then, but in a car with somebody I don't know, somebody he didn't even know, somebody at a function that just offered to take the kids back for him, a nigga that I don't know, and drove them to the house. Here's the thing. They didn't have car seats. They were laid on the back seat. I don't have video evidence of that. And I'm saying all of this. I know that your response, because I know y'all petty demons like to argue. I know your response is, well, I think you just having personal experiences and you're trying to blame that. No. If you scour the fucking internet like you're scouring it for evidence, you would see so many women who go through this. Why aren't you connecting patterns between women who go through this and women who have to fight for their lives out of this shit? If you know anything about DV, if you also knew anything about DV, it's hard for those women to leave because they are convinced that those men love them. Do you think you're recording shit when a nigga's being nice and then mean and then nice and then mean and you're confused? That's usually why there's no evidence. This is why those men can do it for so long, because they're nice to you sometimes. And if I may keep going, this is why they say love is blind. Love is blind. You can keep saying, oh, I use my common sense. You're a bystander looking from the outside. I use my common sense. If somebody did this, I would leave. Yeah, all that big talk, but you're not fucking brainwashed and being abused and susceptible to domestic violence. That's stupid to say. That's stupid to say. But and if you're black, I don't know, I can't tell by your picture if you're mixed or black. If you're black, don't people tell you that if you're broke that your oppression is a choice, and all black people get mad and say, oh, that's not true. This is the same fucking thing. This is the same fucking thing. If you don't know better, you don't do better. So I'm trying to figure out what your point is to get online. I know what your point is. Yours what we would call black male identified or male identified, and you have a coochie. Because as soon as you hear a story, you hop on the man's side. That needs to be looked at within yourself. You need to look at that within yourself. And try to understand why you're doing that. Because I'm not overly emotional about this story. I'm not scouring shit. I heard what somebody said. I saw the little things that somebody did. I made educated guess, a hypothesis. And I gave you a hypothesis. And when it came into fruition, I said, it came into fruition, guys. You don't have a dog in this fight, yet you're scouring the fucking internet for evidence against somebody who you have more in common with than you have with a man. Or do you? You probably have more in common with a man. I don't know. You women are something else. You women are something else.